Hello, in this video we're going to discuss Pauline Hanson's proposal to ban Muslims. In this video I'm not going to try and tell you what to think. Recently the World Health Organization released a study showing that 99.5% of all people are fuckwits. So chances are I'm a fuckwit. But statistically speaking, you're probably a fuckwit too. So as one fuckwit to another, let's go on a little journey together. Okay? I think we should take the threat of terrorism seriously. You know, human lives are at stake and we should have the most qualified opinions on the matter. And what are Pauline Hanson's qualifications when it comes to Islamic terrorism? Well, she did used to own a fish and chip shop in Ipswich. And as we all know, a terrorist is a lot like a potato. You see, potatoes often have brown skin, and so do terrorists. If only the Department of Homeland Security in the United States had some people who had owned fish and chip shops working for them before 9/11, the whole thing could have been avoided. We've heard from the fish and chip shop owners, and their opinions are very, very important. But let's hear from someone who studied and worked as a counter-terrorism expert. You cannot defeat an enemy by becoming it. You do not defend freedom by reducing it. And you do not create shared values through fear and intolerance. What does that mean? Let's break it down. Break it down, break it down. The best way for me to explain what that counter-terrorism expert meant is, you know how Pauline Hanson and others often say things like, they're changing our way of life. They're fucking changing our way of life. But yet she goes on to propose banning all Muslims. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware, but that's hypocritical, because one of the things that makes the Western world really awesome to live in is that we don't allow the government to regulate your fucking thoughts. And you do that when you tell people what they can and can't believe. That's what they do in North Korea, where little children have to like smile and love the leader. But you know, what do I know about Western civilization? I mean, I'm not a fish and chip shop owner. The other way that Pauline Hanson suggests undermining our value system is to suggest that collective punishment is a great idea. By banning all Muslims, you're punishing everyone for the actions of a few. Okay, do you know how fucking goofy that is? I'll give you an example of how bad collective punishment is. Imagine you work at a warehouse that I own, and you come in every day, you work really hard, but you have a neck tattoo, and I go, yeah mate, I'm gonna have to fucking let you go, mate. And then you go, why am I being fired? What? I worked hard, I did everything right. Yeah mate, yeah you did, you did work hard, mate. But you know, some of the other boys have neck tattoos, and I've noticed that a lot of the people with neck tattoos do not show up to work on time, so I'm gonna have to let you go, mate. But what do you mean? My neck tattoo says work hard, play hard. I've never showed up not on time. Yeah mate, yeah, that's what all the fucking neck tattoo people say. Get the fuck out. Is it really fair to punish some of the good Muslims? Like the Muslims that have alerted the authorities to terrorism plots that have helped prevent terrorist attacks? Shouldn't those Muslims maybe get a pass, and their families? You think that dude who like stopped a terrorist attack, you think it would be like a celebrity and we would try and encourage those Muslims to exist? You know, like put him on reality TV, put him in the Big Brother house next time. You know, he'll probably get voted out pretty early because no one likes a snitch. No one likes a snitch. Muslims are a lot like bacteria in that you rarely hear a good news story about bacteria.
The organization calls it an extraordinary event, the most severe Ebola outbreak ever. And it says there must be a coordinated international response to stop and reverse its spread.
But the thing is you need bacteria in your body. Because if you don't have good bacteria on your skin or in your gut, you become unhealthy. The good bacteria actually help stop the bad bacteria hurting you. And Muslims are like bacteria in that there's bad Muslims and there's good Muslims. Banning all bacteria would be really bad for your body. What we need to do is we need to encourage more good Muslims in our digestive system, so those good Muslims can help break down our food and prevent terrorist attacks. Sometimes I think that maybe people are acting out of fear and confusion rather than being calm and trying to inform themselves. And the reason I think this is because there have been anti-Muslim attacks done to non-Muslims. There was an attack on a Sikh temple where someone had spray painted anti-Muslim rhetoric on the walls of the temple. And that's kind of a weird thing to do, to attack the wrong religious group, right? Like that is some goofy hate. I didn't realize they were filming an episode of Mr. Bean Commits a Hate Crime. But that sounds like the kind of goofy thing you would do if your understanding of politics was based on the movie Aladdin. I wonder how the perpetrator felt when he realized he attacked the wrong religious establishment. You know when you walk into the wrong toilet and you see a bunch of women around and you're like, oh, these women are going to be embarrassed once they realize they're in the wrong place. And they've cheekily removed the urinal from the wall. These blasted women. There was also another case on the Gold Coast in Queensland where this guy had punched a dude because he thought he was a Muslim, but it turns out he was actually just a guy from New Zealand who had a kind of Muslim-y beard. And I wonder how he reacted once he realized he made a mistake. I wonder if he was like, oh man, I'm really sorry, I just thought you were a Muslim. I didn't realize you were a human being. Or did he double down on his hate and be like, mate, you what? He's from New Zealand? That's even fucking worse, mate. Alright? I fucking had a gut full of these New Zealanders. It shouldn't be called the Anzacs. It should be called the Axe. Fucking Aussie pride, mate. Fuck New Zealand. Kind of makes me wonder if ISIS has ever fucked up one of those beheading videos. Oh, sorry, Mohammed. I forgot to hit record. Can you just do it again? Yeah, just sticky tape his head on and it'll look the same. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't like Islam. I think it's a dark age, stupid superstition like every other fucking dog shit religion. Part of freedom means you're free to be a fucking idiot. Okay? So I defend the right of Muslims to believe in their dog shit superstitions. There's all these unfair demonizations of Islam. Like, yeah, it's bad, it's dumb, but you don't need to go over the top about it. You know, you see all these memes on the internet where people are like, oh, Muhammad is a pedophile. He married a 9-year-old or a 12-year-old. He had a whole bunch of baby brides on camels he used to walk around. I heard Muhammad married his own semen. That's how perverted his pedophilia was. Okay, man, he married a 12-year-old 1400 years ago, where the lifespan of the average person in the fucking Middle Eastern desert was probably 30 years. At the age of 12, she was already middle-aged. By that point, she was already a MILF, okay? She was a cougar. What do you think your ancestors were doing 1400 years ago? Where do you think the fucking ginger in your beard comes from? Okay, that's some fucking rape pillage DNA you got from the Vikings. Well, a lot of Pauline Hanson supporters are people in rural Australia who are currently experiencing an economic depression since the mining boom ended. And there's also a meth epidemic in those towns. They're going through some hard shit. Anytime someone like Pauline Hanson gives them easy answers, they're going to latch onto that. Fucking ban him! Ban him! You know, maybe you could do crowdsourcing and try and raise $3,000 over a period of months. And then hire out a bar in one of these rural areas, which is her support base. And you put on a $1,000 beer tab, and then you spend another $1,000 on ham. And then you have beer and ham day out in one of these areas where people get free beer and ham. And all they need to do to get the free beer and ham is listen to a counter-terrorism expert for fucking 15 minutes. Maybe if Pauline Hanson, instead of working with potatoes her whole life, had worked with onions. Because reality is a lot more like an onion than a potato. Because the more you peel back the layers, the more it makes you want to cry. You know, for example, why are there Muslim terrorist attacks? Well, that's because some of these Muslims identify with the kin overseas that are suffering from things like invasions, like the invasion in Iraq, or the West's support for human rights violations in Palestine, and they're motivated to kill Westerners because of that. And over 1 million civilians died in the war in Iraq. And why did we go to Iraq? Well, we needed to give the Iraqis democracy. Even though the biggest democratic display in Western history was against the war in Iraq, we had to not listen to our own democracy. We needed to go to other countries to show them democracy. and bombed the fuck out of them, which killed over 1 million people and left millions of other people in poverty. And what did they do? They turned to the only ideology that they had left after we fucked them, creating ISIS in Iraq and Syria, okay? The war on terrorism has fucking failed. It's gone from a handful of fucking nut jobs in Afghanistan and Saudi Arabia to basically developed into almost a nation state where young children are growing up in this poverty fuckhole where people are fucking killing each other like crazy. And until we fucking address the cause of that shit, this stuff will keep fucking happening.